Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and we got a great song for you today. But first, I hope you guys had a great weekend. It is a new year, just getting started. I can't wait to see what happens, how things go. Hopefully things will just continue to get better and better as we get past all this crazy world crisis stuff. But for now, we're going to immerse ourselves in some music. But before we do that, it's Monday, so we got some people to thank, and I want to dig right in and thank my patrons. At the $5 Easy Living tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Brad D. At the $3 The Wizard tier, we have Peter Voss, Goran Eriksson, Frank Thielgaard Mortensen, and William Rose. And last but not least, at the $1 Traveler in Time tier, we have the Ultimate Time Capsule, Airtight Gravesite. Thank you guys very much for your ongoing donations. It means a lot to me. And speaking of the helpful things, if you guys want to help Uriah Heep get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, go to facebook.com, go to the Heep Rock Hall page and sign up that petition. Get your name on there. Help us get closer and closer to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, finally acknowledging these guys and getting them where they should be, deserving of all the recognition. Let's make it happen. Also, you can go to the website, scotthaskin.com, click on the Uriah Heep podcast link, and shortly there, towards the top of the page is the link also to go to the petition. I also, I've been remiss. I haven't done this. I don't know why. I want to thank Cakewalk by BandLab. They are the DAW or digital audio workstation that I use that helps me record, edit, clean up the podcast. Could not do it without the foundation program that I use to make this happen. And I've been with them since, like 97, 96, something like that. It was like Cakewalk 4.1 when they were still owned by 12 Tone Systems. And it's been a roller coaster since then. But I love the program. BandLab gives it to us for free. So thank you very much, BandLab, for buying this from Gibson and keeping it alive. Also, thank you to Audionamics, who I will not do a podcast without their wonderful product, Instant Dialogue Cleaner, or IDC, my graphic artist, Scott Lazinski, and, of course, Dave White, Uriah Heep's director of social media, who also runs the website and uriah-heep.com, as well as mick-box.net. And, of course, thank you to everyone who has shared the show, left feedback, good or bad, all of it. Thank you all very much. Also, I want to thank my brothers in the Deep Dive Podcast Network. We're going to go in reverse order today from my list and see if I can read backwards. George and Tom from the Metal Gods Podcast, Ben and Sam from Universally Speaking, the Red Hot Chili Peppers Podcast, Dan and Josh from Diary of the Madmen, the Ultimate Aussie Podcast, Eric and Jonathan at Maiden A to Z Pod, Andy and Matt at Hawk Binge, Paul, Joe, and David at In the Lap of the Pods, Rye at Sabbath Bloody Podcast, Terry T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cuts on the Other Side, The Simple Man at Skinnerd Reconsidered, Nate and John at the Deep Purple Podcast. And of course, you can go to Twitter, hashtag Deep Purple Podcast Network. I'm sorry, Deep Purple. I was doing so well. Deep Dive Podcast Network. And you get updates from all of us who tag that hashtag. Also, of course, my dear friend Brandon at Metallicast and GottaHear'Em.all.com, a great website resource for all of the Deep Purple and Emerson, Lake and Palmer histories. Ace on Music at Stitcher, and also on YouTube. I have to make this correction. I didn't realize there was a difference in names earlier. I probably did and just forgot to mark it down. So on Stitcher, it's Ace on Music is the podcast. On YouTube, the page is Ace the Music Man, all separate words. So Ace has a wonderful show there that you can check out. And hasn't been an update for a little while, but has just an amazing wealth of knowledge in the industry. And he manages Uriah Heep, as well as acts like Thin Lizzy and tons more. Recently added the Graham Bonnet Band onto his roster, which I was very excited about. Graham and Bethany are great people, and nice to see those connecting, because Ace is a great guy as well. So let's get into our song today. It's a great song, guys. It really is. I love it. and it is called Shadow. Yeah, that's cool. I dig that riff. Very intricate, little trill in there at one point, which was nice to hear. I do like a good trill. But everything's very well balanced. You know, the bass and guitar and organ are all playing very well together. The drums are really cutting through. That last part of it too, you know, and this might just be me. I don't know what came to your mind, depending on how familiar you are with the band, especially in the earlier days. But there was a song on Salisbury called Time to Live. And that last part, just that da, 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 kind of reminded me of that. So in my mind, that was a little bit of a throwback. Don't know if that was intentional at all or not. But, you know, it was definitely reminiscent of it.
There's illusion in my mirror. I have to show concern. 'Cause what is left is right. Don't know which way to turn. And there is someone who is like me. But all they want to do is stare. And he would like to find the key, but I'm not there.
I find it fascinating how minimal the music is here, yet it feels really full to me. They're really leaving room for the vocal, letting the bass drive the melody. And it's nice because we haven't had that in a little bit. So I do love when Trevor plays like this. He's got some really nice, you know, dynamics that he's playing in here, and it's really interesting just to listen to that. But then you're missing out on Bernie, who's delivering the story and sounds fantastic. Then just a little bit of a cut in, you know, from the guitars, and the drums are just backing everything up. This is actually a very, very nice setup for a verse.
Nothing but a shadow. Sunlight. Never see the sunlight. Special power, shadow, nothing but a shadow. Oh.
Now, these are the kind of choices that you have to make as songwriters and as performers and as a producer, and even sometimes as an audio engineer, depending on how, you know, how close you are with the band, whether you can throw out ideas or not, because sometimes it's welcome and sometimes it isn't. But one thing I can say is that one thing that you can do in songwriting is to take your first chorus and only do half of the chorus and then save the full reveal for the second chorus or the third chorus, maybe the one after the solo, depending on how you want to do it. But they chose to do the full chorus here, which after only one verse, it just seems to me that it's actually kind of lengthy. I mean, looking at the waveform of it, the chorus is the length of the verse. So, for the first one, I don't know. It just feels like it's a little bit long. Or if they would have done a double verse first and then do the full chorus, that might work a little bit better. But then, you know, it all comes down to personal taste and in the moment and how you feel at the time you're doing something. Like if I listened to the song 2 hours ago, maybe I would have felt different about it, or a year ago. Who knows? But right in this moment, I can say that chorus, it just felt long. Because there's really nothing different other than the lyrics from the first to the second time. There's no other changes or dynamics or anything that I noticed. So, you know, it just kind of felt like it was a little bit too long for me.
And now I'm moving down the sidewalk, just staring at the ground. And if I don't look up, the scene will change around. And we are residents of nowhere, but do we really say, like a marionette, just acting out of place?
So a perfect example of the not overstaying the, the welcome or being too repetitive premise that I was talking about earlier would be the way that Russell Gilbrook is playing right now. So he does at the very first line, he does like a little extra dynamic on the hi-hat. Then he's got one lift of the foot pedal that he does. And then everything else is pretty straightforward. On one occasion, I think he put in, just an extra splash or something. But that's the kind of thing, like he didn't do that hi-hat on every single line or every other line. It was just one time, let's make this interesting. I won't do that again. I'll change it, and play straightforward. I'll throw a cymbal in there at one point. But that keeps it interesting. If you're just doing the same repetitive thing over and over, it just gets to be boring to me. And, I'm kind of used to repetitive choruses at the end. We hear that from a lot of bands. That was a huge thing in the 80s, especially. I guess that really still goes on today from what little music I listen to. But it's just nice to have a little bit more variety of things in there and different things to listen to instead of, okay, well, now the first line of the next verse is going to come up. So we know he's going to do this. We know he's going to do that. And it just becomes the same thing over and over again. Like, you got to keep it fresh. In defense of the chorus, though, I will say it is very powerful. I love the strength of the guitar in this. It's a very, very intricate and powerful riff. But the combination of that volume of guitar and the vocals actually really works here. I like the doubling on the vocals. I like the strength of the guitar. Obviously, the drums are doing a lot of accents. But it's actually, it is a very cool chorus. The only complaint I had about it was the first pass of it. Really, I would have liked to have just had it been half of that chorus and then do the full chorus at this point where we're at in the song now. That was a nice change, as always. It's really just unexpected. You wouldn't think that they were going to go to a part like that, but it's really cool. I love the change in the drums there. As a drummer, I can say those parts are really fun to play. When you're getting off of that kick, snare, hi-hat thing and just doing something different, you're playing more interesting stuff on the toms through the part. It definitely, those are way more fun parts to play when you get to do them. They just, you can't do them all the time. But when you can, it's really, really cool. But I like that. I like the fills in there too. Very energetic stuff. The bass is just off the rails here. Really, really playing some very active and creative things as well. Really like it. And then the organ is the other instrument that's really cutting through. Guitars have kind of taken a back seat a little bit in this section. But along with the vocals, this sounds really good. Well, the solo just kept going, didn't it? That was really cool, though. I love the beginning where it felt like it was slowing down, but it really wasn't. That was nice. A lot of great notes in there. A lot of going from high to mid to high to mid. Really energetic solo, and that just continued all the way through to the end of the song. Another concert ending, of course. That's been a main theme, not on every song, but on a good majority of them. I think I realized the one problem with this mix is that it really, with the whole album, and I've mentioned this a little bit before, is that the cymbals are a little bit loud. Russell is a very cymbal heavy drummer. So there's a lot of that crash sound cutting through things. And it's, of course, the initial attack is the loudest and then it decays fairly quickly, but that can cut out other frequencies. So when you're a very heavy cymbal playing drummer, which is very common in, metal and hard rock, obviously speed metal and stuff that get really crazy, but he plays a lot of crash cymbals. So that really can change the frequency. So you kind of have to be careful mixing that. That can be a big challenge in this style of music. But overall, the song sounds great. The drums are very powerful. Love the end. Love that little phaser effect at the end on the last hit there. Very nice accent. And you don't really need a long decay on something like that. Just kind of, you just ended it. So you just got to, you can't just stop it cold. You have to have a little bit of breath at the end of it. And so that was a nice effect to put that flanger on there. But yeah, it's a great song. Very powerful. I love the riff. I think the whole song is really heavy and very strong. The vocals are very strong. The accents on the backing vocals are great. It's just another Uriah Heep song that I absolutely love. And, I've said that with the majority of them. We've done well over 200 now. And man, I've just loved so many of these songs. So once again, great job, Uriah Heep. And great job, you guys, for listening. Hope you get through your Monday, that it's a nice, easy day and not too harsh coming off of the weekend. And maybe tomorrow will be even easier. We'll see you guys. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!